Hi everyone, welcome to 8.8. Today we're taking a little bit of a detour down a different road in this unit. We've been really thinking about multiplication and division. We've done a little bit of review with fractions, and we've done some review with measuring. And the last bit of review and then some new material is going to be about shapes. And so up until now, we have been spending time thinking about two-dimensional shapes. That means shapes that lie flat. So we've talked about triangles. Triangles have three angles. They have three sides. And there's different types of triangles. This triangle has all sides the same length. We can have triangles where all sides are different length, perhaps. All angles are different sizes. We can also have triangles where there is a right angle, where there is a 90-degree angle, and then two sides are the same length. We've talked a lot about quadrilaterals. We have a parallelogram here. That means there's two sets of sides that are parallel, and then two sets of angles that are equal. We've talked about a special type of parallelogram, which is a rectangle, where all the angles are right angles. We've talked about a square, which is the most special of all the quadrilaterals. All sides are equal, two sets of parallel sides. All angles are right angles. We've talked about kites, where we have two equal sides here and two equal sides there. We've talked about trapezoids, where we have to have at least one set of parallel sides. These sides do not have to be even. Remember, as long as we have one set of parallel sides, it's a trapezoid. We've also looked at some other shapes that are not quadrilaterals, that have more than four sides and even more than three sides. We've looked at pentagons, which have five sides, hexagons, which have six. We've looked at octagons and all the way up to decagons. And so what makes all these shapes alike is that they're polygons. They have no openings. They have no curved edges. And the biggest thing is that they are flat. They're two-dimensional. Today, and they're all called polygons. Today we're going to talk about three-dimensional shapes. So I'm going to pull up my 3D shapes library. And a three-dimensional shape is called a polyhedron. Instead of a polygon, it's a polyhedron. And today we're going to talk about a special type of polyhedron. Polyhedron means many faces. So when we're talking about three-dimensional shapes, we're going to be using some important vocabulary. The first piece of vocabulary we're going to use is base, we're going to use edge, we're going to use face, and we're going to use vertex. And we're going to do that by investigating a type of polyhedron called a prism. Now, there's many types of polyhedrons. We're going to look at a few more later. There's pyramids, there's cylinders, there's prisms. And we're going to look at prisms today. So this is one type of prism. I'm going to use my hand. Here we go. Let me get my library back. All right. So this is a prism. I've gone to, on my eToolkit, I've gone to prisms and cylinders. And then I've talked about the shape of the base. And the reason I talk about the shape of the base is because the base is a triangle. Notice that that's a triangle. Notice that so the base is the top and bottom. If you rested it upright, it would look like that. The other faces that it can lie on are called faces. This is a face, that's a face, and that's a face. Notice that in a prism, the bases are one shape, and the faces are all rectangles. So this is a face, and this would be a base. An edge is where two faces or a base and a face come together. Okay, so that's an edge there. That's an edge. That's an edge. And a vertex is where edges come together right there. So just like we talked about two-dimensional shapes using sides, like are they parallel or side length? How long are they? Are they equal? and we talked about angles, we can have some attributes of polyhedrons as well. So the way I would describe this polyhedron is I would say that it has triangular base. So the shape of the base would be a triangle. I could also say that the shape of the face is a rectangle. And I could count how many there are. There's 1, 2, and 3 faces that aren't bases, and then the other 2 are bases, okay? I can also count edges. I have 1 edge here. I have 1 edge here. Another, that's 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9. So I would say that this prism has 9 edges. I can also tell you how many vertices there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could say that there are 6 vertices. This is called a triangular prism because the base gives it its name. It's a prism because the other faces are rectangles, but it's a triangular prism because the base is a triangle. So I'm going to bring another guy out here. So this time I'm going to have a rectangle. This is called a rectangular prism. There are special types of rectangular prisms. Sometimes they look like this, and this is a cube. This is the most specialized of rectangular prisms. You can also have them be a little bit more stretched out. So a rectangular prism, all the faces are rectangles. You're going to have lots of 90-degree angles in here. And then we can also classify this by number of faces, edges, and vertices. So the number of vertices, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And on this side, we also have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can talk about number of edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 edges. And then we can also talk about how many faces. There's 1 on the top, there's 1 on the bottom, those are my base, and then I have 4 around the side, so that's going to be 6. So this is a rectangular prism because the base gives it its name, it's a rectangle. And this one in particular is a special type of rectangular prism, and it's called a cube. There's many other types. We can have a pentagonal prism where the base is a pentagon. But notice the other faces are rectangles, okay? You can have a hexagonal one, which is pretty crazy. So the base is going to be a hexagon, but again, the sides are all rectangles. And one thing that you can also have with all 3-dimensional shapes is you have something called a net. And this is its blueprint. So you can think of all of these shapes that if you undid it, if you like unwound the shape and laid it flat, this is what it would look like. So if I folded this piece up and this piece up and this piece up and then folded those, it would create a cube. I can also do that with thinking about like a triangular prism. If I click that, I can see that this is what's giving me the name triangular. If I folded that up and then folded those closed, you also have a triangular prism. So today, you are welcome to go on to ConnectEd, just like I did, and play around with these tools. As a reminder, I found them in here, my 3D Shapes library, and what you do is you just pull one up like that. And here we're just working with prisms and cylinders right now, and we're primarily just doing prisms. And then if you do the shape of the base, you can come here and explore with it. So like with rectangle, right now everything is equal, so I might make one side a little bit bigger. I'm just gonna actually type in, let's do this like 8. Let's see what happens. So this looks now more like a rectangular prism. So I can change the size of it, which is pretty cool. And I also come out here and it gives me some information, which you don't really need to know, but it's just like what the area of each base is and things like that. Another thing you can explore with eTools is you can come down here and you can do Shapes Explorer. And you have 2-dimensional shapes and you also have 3D shapes. And I can just pull them out and you can move them around and check out what they look like. There's one of our prisms, and here's another prism. The other ones down here are not prisms, but we're going to get to those later. Okay, after you've played around, if you want, the only other thing that you're going to do today is you're going to do page 273 in your math journal. It's a math box, and then you'll have your home link. I'm also going to send in an email to you guys and also have them on the website, some nets that you guys can cut out and then assemble into three-dimensional shapes if you'd like to, and that's pretty fun. So you can construct your own prisms. Tomorrow we're going to extend this lesson a little bit and find some prisms in our real life. You will notice that we are skipping page 272. Please do not do 272. Please just do page 273. Have fun.